All right, so you decided to build a pool, you're about to go in the design phase, and you're gonna have a blast. Let me tell you. My name is Scott. I want to share with you how I turned my vision into reality and how you can too. So throughout this video, I'm gonna share with you the process that I went through to design my pool using a program called DIY Pools and Spas. But some of the tips and tricks and lessons that I learned and experienced will work whether you're doing a DIY pool build or a traditional pool build. I mean, I've done both. My first pool build was with the traditional builder. My second one was with the DIY program. I really did enjoy the DIY program, and if that's something you want to look into, you can either follow the information in some of my previous videos, or just head down into the description and follow the links to the program. But the point of this video is really to share with you the experience of this phase. It's kind of a critical phase. This sets the rest of the build process in motion. And hopefully, if you, by sharing this experience with you, you'll be able to learn some things and maybe take some of the ideas I had into your pool build and have a great time doing it. All right. So if you're ready to begin, let's jump in. All right, so before I jumped into the design process, there was some information I needed to figure out first, and I really recommend you do the same. So here's the step-by-step approach I took. Step one, you got to know why you're building the pool. I mean, this is essentially your mission statement. So I put together a video on this as one of my first videos on how to develop out your mission statement and really understand your why. Recommend you go watch that real quick if you haven't. If you know why you're building the pool, great. Proceed on to step two. All right, so step two is knowing what are the laws and regulations that govern pool building in your municipality. So you're gonna need to go to your HOA or your city or your county. If you're doing the DIY program, that's something you're gonna have to do yourself. If you go through a builder, they're gonna tell you that they'll handle it all, but I wouldn't trust that. I would actually find out for yourself as well, especially with your HOA. And especially with maybe some of your county rules. So you want to, because at the end of the day, it's not the builder, it's you. All right, for step three, you're going to want to make a list of all the things that you really want, some of the things that maybe you kind of want, and things you don't want, and all that. But for you guys, I built a spreadsheet that you can easily do all this. It's got all the different options in there, and you can kind of sit down together and figure it out. So the link to that is down in the description. Step four, this is where you kind of start to have fun. So you're going to build something, some people call it is a vision board. It's, in the past, people would take pictures or clippings and kind of put it up on a board and hang it on the wall and try to build a vision of things they wanted to see. You do the same thing with your pool design. Yeah, so what I did is I went ahead and I just copied down all kinds of things. So I, and left it in a folder. Here's a picture of the back of my house, some of the drawings of architectural drawings of the house. But really what you're looking at are things like this front waterfall. That was something I kind of was looking at. I knew that this was a real good idea, the shape that I wanted. And you're just really collecting this type of stuff. Here's a design that actually is real close to what I ended up going with. This is an overflow. We wanted a nice gentle overflow, so I included that in there. There was this was funny. This was really what I was looking to build, only I kind of drew we wanted a sun shelf on here. Different things as you just try to build out ideas that you see, things that you may like. We talked about shade sails, different designs. You just gather these all up. This is just free thinking. This is all the kind of stuff you wanted to present to your design team. And so, gathering up all those photos into your vision board or your vision folder or whatever, that's kind of a constant thing. As you see stuff, grab it, throw it in the folder, give it to your design team. It's kind of a neat thing. It's something you could do together with your significant other and your family and all that. The next step 5 is when I started to really start putting imagination, trying to get the vision in my head out of my head and to the design team. So I went crazy. I decided, let me see if I can try to draw something out. Okay, so this is the first design I came up with. I did this on a Samsung tablet, a Note, I believe it's called, with a little pen that you can pull out and draw on it. But you can do this on a piece of paper with crayons. You can do this with markers. It doesn't really matter. All you got to do is try to get something out there. And you can see this is far from a professional design, but it kind of does show what I was looking for. You know, a free form pool. Up here, we wanted a big sun deck. I wanted almost, really the intent was not only for loungers and you can go out there and sunbathe, but also to kind of create a splash pad for our grandkids so that when they come over, they can kind of play around in 6-inch water. And then I was thinking down here, so the house is in this direction. We wanted the hot tub here, and the idea is that it'd be closer to the house. You wouldn't have to go all the way around. And then I was talking about doing even a zero entry, beach entry, if you will, if you call that. But the funny thing is, one of the things that DIY Pools and Spas does is they have these group calls, Q&A sessions where you can meet with a group, kind of share ideas, or you can even do one-on-one calls with the design team, or even email back and forth and really ask their opinions on some things. And they really kind of walk me through some pros and cons with doing a beach entry. And ultimately, I decided after hearing their information that I wasn't going to do a beach entry. So this was the first drawing that I brought to my wife, and we started to discuss it. And then she had some great input as well. Yeah, so off her vision board, she had a drawing of basically a big sun deck like we wanted that was flowing over into the pool, just like we had discussed. But she said, what about instead of having this waterfall here, we build a hot tub, and so that the hot tub flows over into the sun deck, and then the sun deck flows over into the pool. Okay, so I got the tablet back out and started sketching on that again. And I said, okay, I think I see what you're saying. But what about this? What if we put the hot tub here, and then we had it flowing over into the pool and the sun deck, and then the sun deck flowing over into the pool as well. And, maybe we could do like a deep end over here, and then like a somewhat shallow end here, and then the super shallow end over here with the entry steps. And, we're coming up from the house here and maybe walking around, and we could do a pergola up here. And we really started to get the idea out of our head and onto paper in a way that we could articulate to the design team. So we came up with this, and basically you could see there's the hot tub being the highest point. We wanted a pergola over here. Hot tub would then flow both into a sun deck and into the pool with the shallow end and then a deep end, and so on, with an exit seat inside the deep end. And that's what we ended up sending into the design team, along with the triple list and vision board pictures. And so if you go with a program like DIY Pools, unlike a traditional builder, you're going to sit down and you're going to kind of share all this information with them one time, and then they're going to come back with the design, and then maybe you'll do some revisions. With the DIY program, the way you start is you come in here and they're going to point you to a design form. And then you go in there, and basically the big thing is they tell you, take this, you gotta schedule some time, because it's going to take some time to fill this out. So they say it takes about 20 minutes to complete. I probably did a little quicker because I had already prepared everything. But you definitely want to include all the things that they talk about here. And so even they want photos of the yard, some locations of stuff, map surveys, all these type of things. This is all the information you should have been gathering up like before. We talked about, everything they could possibly want. You want to gather all of this stuff, and then you go up into this form and just kind of fill out, hey, what do I want to build? And so and this is really nice, you could, you put your plat map and all that, and all the information that you could possibly want to put in there. And then this is where you just load up everything you could possibly think of, and just answer all these kind of questions, and you fill out, like, it's not easy, right? It takes a while. So one of the more interesting things is just the depth of choices, but luckily, if you follow the 4 lists that have a lot of these all ready to go, I want to have this type of coping, I want to do, I want a grotto, I want all this kind of stuff. You can pull it all in there. You throw some things in there. It's pretty exhaustive. So like they said, you want to take your time, and then you go ahead and you hit submit. And so once you hit submit, what you got to do is wait about 5 to 10 days. Really, it depends on weekends and all that. But they say about 7 working days. You'll get back a link to a Google shared drive where they're going to share with you a rather impressive design, preliminary design file folder. So, and you'll get something just like this. This is the 2-dimensional design. It's pretty detailed. You could actually pretty much build a pool off of this. This is not to be confused with your engineering design, but this is the first design. And along with that, you get some really impressive 3D rendering. You see, unfortunately, we put the sunshade sails on there, kind of hid the view, but here you go. This was their first concept, and I tell you, they hit it out of the park. I was just incredibly impressed with this design. This is exactly what I had in my head. We did do some tweaks to it, but for the first time, this is really what I wanted to do. There was some changes. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect. There's some things I always want to look out for are corners. I don't like corners where dirt and debris can settle, and I really didn't like this bump out here and then some shapes. But you take your time here, because you can get up to 2 revisions. Where they will completely, you could start all over really, but they're going to come in and they're going to make any changes you want. 2 more iterations of that. So essentially what you do is you I took a long time. It took 2 weeks just looking at the design and thinking about what we wanted. You gather up all the notes, and I sent them back. And so some of the things I want to point out what I did. This is the drawing that they sent back about a week after I provided my feedback. And one of the things you got to remember to do is not only look at how the pool looks from the outside, but consider what it's going to look like from your house. And from us, we had a pretty big window inside our porch here that we wanted this pool to be framed in the view from the house, so that when you looked out the back main windows, you saw the pool and it was centered on the house. So if you remember, the first design kind of had it sitting like this. We pushed it over and had it centered up on with the house and then parallel to the house. And then a couple other things we did. You can see I got rid of the little bump out, and this little seating area is really just a way to get out of the deep end. Now, I love the fact that they put the deep end over here. I wasn't even thinking of that, because this is the highest point of the pool. That's where the kids are going to jump in. It's going to be great. And then we also asked them to put the stairs along the edge, so that if some of the older folk needed to get in the pool, they could actually use the coping as kind of a handrail as they go down, instead of going straight out like our traditional design may do. But this was iteration 2, and we also, you can see we moved the pergola, made it longer than deeper. The funny thing is, ultimately we went with deeper, but this is how quickly they came back to that design. And then of course, they're going to give you new drawings and renderings of it with any of the changes you made. So we were real close at this point. We spent some time looking at all of these photos, making sure this is what we wanted. This is a great representation. Looking back at the property, they do some funny things for you, like they'll do some suggestions, putting in there's a ping pong table here. What they don't really realize here in Texas, what a Texas oak is. I mean, that thing really drops down. You're not going to be able to see that or be that kind of stuff. But yeah, ping pong table. Okay, interesting idea. I didn't ask for it, but that's their design team. They're trying to not only to answer your vision, but give you some inspiration with it. But yeah, we were real close with. And then finally, so this was our final design that we went through. They came back and some of the things that we made sure was, you got to think, as water's going to flow in a general circle, either one way or the other, right? And you want to make sure you try to avoid any corners where dirt and debris can get trapped. That if you had a hard corner right here, that's where dirt's going to form. So also it's going to be difficult if you have one of your cleaning robots. So you don't want to have that. We took a look at this space. We smoothed out a little bit to avoid that. And then we wanted to make sure that we had ample walking space going up to the top. Because nothing's worse than having a crowded area where kids are playing and falling and all that. And then we get a pretty good leaf fall here in Texas during the spring with our oaks, which is odd. They keep their leaves all summer or all winter and then drop them right before they get new leaves. But we wanted a little wall here to stop, so I could use the blower and not have to worry about blowing leaves into the pool. Made some slight adjustments here and there, but this was the final design. So once you get done with it, you sign off on the design, and then that's going to send it off to the engineering phase, and that's where we'll get all the drawings for that part of it. Then okay, so you've sent it off to the engineering phase, but they're not going to leave you high and dry. Soon after you sign off on your drawing, they're going to send you a video mock-up of your design. So or a video walkthrough is what they call it, and it's really kind of neat. You really get excited when you see in kind of a 3D environment what your pool's going to look like placed inside your own yard. And so this was really neat. We really enjoyed this. It's really got us excited and amped up for the next phase. All right, so what seems like forever because you're super excited about it, but it's really only a couple weeks, you get back the engineering drawings. And what these are permit-ready documents that you can take to your local city or county offices to pull permits for your drawing. For your pool project, but there's a lot of really good information in here that you can use as the owner builder in your DIY project to talk to the people that's doing the project. So like here, you got the entirety of the plumbing ready to go. It tells you exactly what kind of plumbing you need to have, the plumbing criteria for it, all the electrical. This is really helpful because one of the things you're going to try to calculate how much all this is going to cost. Gunite and shotcrete contractors will often give you prices in cubic yards. Well, you can figure it out how to figure out your pool cubic yard by following this calculation here. And if you still aren't comfortable with it, you can actually even email DIY and they'll help you do that and come up with a really good cost estimate of what your project's going to be. But as you go down here, you see it's quite extensive. It's a rather detailed pool. Here's the actual design. All the measurements, the critical measurements, where the excavator is going to take his measurements off of. In here you got more notes on plumbing, as well as electrical, the equipment that they recommend. You don't have to go with it, but it definitely gives you a start point for what equipment you want. And then all the way down here is all the steel drawings. This is exactly the steel layout that they want. You can see that they're calling for the type of steel level number 3. We actually upped it to number 4, and the spacing of the steel minimum requirements. Number 4 grade steel is just it's a 1/2 inch versus 3/8, I believe. And then all the construction of the steel. So this is for your inspector. If you have to do an inspection, or if you don't have to do an inspection, you have a guide, because that's the one bad thing if you live out in the country like I do. You don't have any inspection, so it's really on you. But the notes, the notes are really clear, and so if you just follow these notes along with the checklist they give you, you get a lot of confidence on what it's supposed to look like when it's done. But this is the end of the design phase. This is through all your hard work. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is just take your time with this. This is the most critical part of the build phase. You get everything right here. You can you'll have a much easier build. You can make changes later on, but if you're dealing with the county, you got to do reset permits and all that. But the one really nice thing, if for whatever reason your locality requires something different than what they'll provide here, all you got to do is talk to DIY, and they'll help you out and get that provided for you. If you go through a traditional builder, I would ask them for their engineering drawings. You're gonna pay for it. And when I start doing the price breakouts of this DIY project versus a traditional pool builder, because I didn't have a traditional pool builder bid on this project, they'll have a line item on how much this particular drawing is costing you. It's going to be a lot more than DIY is charging you. I almost guarantee it. But you paid for it. You should be able to have a copy of the engineering drawings that they use to pull permits. So again, if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. I'll respond to all comments. Or if you have any suggestions on how you went through the design field, please share with the community. This is an exciting thing to do, build a pool, but it's also a little bit scary. So don't hesitate to do that. And also don't forget to subscribe. Please like the video. Definitely subscribe if you want to follow along on the next phases of excavation, steel, the cost breakouts, decking, all that stuff. We're going to cover it all. So hope you come along with the ride. Again, any questions or requests, put them down in the comments. I'll get to them. Talk to you later.